Deep dives and blue skies. Welcome back to Talking Blue with Nick, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you can find.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talking Blue, the best Dodgers analytical podcast that you could find. I am your host, Nick. You are listening to episode 91 of Talking Blue. I didn't get to talk to you guys last week. Dodgers schedule, my schedule, made things kind of complicated to get on here and recap that Rocky series that ended up finishing up on Monday night. Dodgers split a 4-game set, 2 wins, 2 losses in Colorado. The offense broke out in that last game, but overall, just an series. Couple of stinkers, couple of good games. Dalton rushing, Max Muncy did some good things in those series. Kyle Tucker as well. But today we are here to talk about the Giants and the Dodgers series that just wrapped up about an hour ago. Dodgers dropped 2 out of 3, so they're not playing too great right now. The pitching has been amazing. The offense has fallen off just a tad. We're going to get into all that. As always, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of the videos dropping. You can follow us on all social media at Talkin' Blue Pod. You can follow myself at Nick Talkin' Ball on X. I tweet all about the Dodgers. I tweet all about a lot of baseball things. If you're interested in a new baseball podcast, I have a brand new podcast called Baseball Mondays. Comes out every Monday. I recap the following week in Major League Baseball. The description is in the video below. Before we get into the 3 games, let's get you guys caught up on some injury stuff. Of course, the biggest headline of the injuries is Edwin Diaz that took place during that Rocky series. He goes on the IL, loose bodies in his right elbow, his throwing arm. So just a little bit of stuff that he had to get surgically repaired, just kind of get cleaned up. So positives and negatives. Obviously, you lose your closer that you just signed for pretty much the entire first half, probably comes back in August or something like that. The positive is that we kind of know what Diaz was struggling with, why his velocity had dropped, and it kind of makes you feel better that it wasn't, any other issue. So it's a bummer that he will be out until, like I said, probably August. But at the end of the day, Dodgers can kind of slow play it, and they're one of the few teams that can kind of work through something like this, have him come back in August to join the team. Hopefully at that point he feels good. The velocity can get, ramped back up and stuff in some minor league rehabs and stuff like that. So he's already got his surgery, which is nice. So obviously probably won't hear much news from him for a good month or so, and then we'll kind of see how things are progressing once we kind of start to get closer to like the All-Star break and all that kind of stuff. So sucks that Diaz gets down, but it's obviously, like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world because you kind of know why his velocity had been down a little bit, so we kind of get some questions answered there. Blake Snell, he threw a 32-pitch rehab down in the minor leagues. I think it was a single-A game. So that was his first rehab assignment, 32 pitches. I think he gave up like 3 earned runs, but when you go down and make a rehab assignment, literally your performance almost means nothing. It just really matters to how you're feeling. Maybe his velocity, but again, he only threw 1 inning, so we still got about a month to go. He's expected late May, so he's basically right now on a regular spring training ramp up. Next time he pitches, it'll be 2 to 3 innings, and he'll try to ramp all the way up to 5 innings. Throw about 75, 80 pitches, and by the time he's able to do that, he'll be ready to come back at the end of May. Brock Stewart, relief pitcher, he's the closest of all these guys. He's continued to do his rehab assignment in the minor leagues. He's expected back in a couple weeks. So, again, mid-May is what I would assume is when he'll join the bullpen, which is nice given the Edwin Diaz injury that just happened. And then the last one, Mookie Betts, he has begun to swing a bat, and he's doing defensive work. So, again, obliques are one of the most unique injuries because you have no idea how it's going to progress. It seems like he is not in much pain, so hopefully I don't want the Dodgers to slow play it too much. I want Mookie to be 100% ready to come back, but I also want to see Mookie Betts play, so hopefully in the next month as well. Again, with obliques, it really is just until he feels ready to go. That is when we'll get like a real update, but right now he's just kind of at a standstill. So enough of those injury updates. Let's get into Game 1, which took place Tuesday night. Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound, taking on Landon Rupp of the Giants, who's actually been off to a good start. In the bottom of the first inning, the Giants get on the board against Yamamoto, an RBI single from Rafael Devers. A couple batters later, Casey Schmidt, a sac fly to put the Giants up 2-0, and then a Jung-Hoo Lee single makes 3-0 Giants. So a 3-run first inning for the Giants. That would be all that Yamamoto would actually allow, though. He gets through 7 innings pitched, only those 3 earned runs. The Dodgers, unfortunately, would only score 1 run. This was in the 4th inning, a bases-loaded walk with Hae-Sung Kim at the plate. And that would be all the scoring, though. Dodgers lose by a score of 3-1, not able to do much against Rupp, and then the Giants bullpen, and the Giants win by a score of 3-1. Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitched 7 innings, and then Tanner Scott came in and pitched 1 inning. Like I said, Rupp through 5 innings pitched, only allowed the 1 earned run, which was on a walk. He allowed 5 walks in this game, but he struck out 7. He kept the Dodgers off balance. His sinker was nasty in this game. He was throwing a ton of front hip sinkers to left-handed hitters. Kept a lot of guys off balance. He just looked like an uncomfortable at bat for a lot of guys. And Dodgers just did not do a whole lot offensively. But let's talk about Yamamoto, because he actually did pitch pretty good in this game. And when you consider that he gave up 3 earned runs in the first inning, and it could have been disastrous, he actually pitched very good. So 7 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, which is a little high. 3 earned runs, like I said in the first inning, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. So all in all, a fairly decent start. The command was off just a tad. His command has looked really good this year. I've said it in all my recaps about Yamamoto. The command has been even better than last year, which is kind of crazy to consider. But the walk rate is one of the best in the league so far. 11 whiffs in the game. So Yamamoto's continued to not consistently get the extreme amount of whiffs that we're kind of used to seeing from him, 15 to 18. His previous start against the Mets, he did rack up a career high. So the whiff percentage and the overall just swing and miss that he's gotten this year has been, pretty solid, pretty much in line with what he normally gets. Hasn't had, again, as many strikeouts in 32 and 2/3 innings pitched, 28 strikeouts. So that's like about a league average K rate, 22.8%, which is fine. But just not at the rate we saw last year, especially, and really his first 2 years in the big leagues. He really was one of the better strikeout pitchers in the game. I just think that, it's still early in the season. His pitch mix is slightly different than what we saw a year ago. Yamamoto's been fine. I don't want to act like I'm concerned about him or anything like that. In 32 and 2/3 innings pitched, he's got a 2.48 ERA. A 2.48 ERA. That's one of the better ERAs in the game. So he's pitching fine. The biggest difference right now from what we saw with him last year is the expected batting average on his four-seam fastball and then the ground ball percentage. Okay, last year he was one of the best ground ball pitchers in the game, and I always talk about when you're able to pair strikeouts with ground balls, you're going to be pretty elite because it gives you a ton of avenues to get out of jams and just, when you keep the ball on the ground, you're limiting damage, extra base hits, balls in the gap, home runs, and then obviously strikeouts. He still has a 2.48 ERA and an elite walk rate. He's been fine. I just would like to see the four-seam fastball get a little bit better because the batting average on that pitch right now is 233, which is fine, but the expected batting average, which means the quality of contact, is 314. He's never gotten whiffs on that pitch. That's never been part of his game. But last year, his four-seam fastball was elite. Didn't give up a lot of hard contact, kept it on the ground. In terms of run value, it was actually one of the more valuable pitches in the game, which I'll get into in a sec with a couple of these other pitches. Run value is a great stat that incorporates like pitchers getting out of jams, using a pitch in big spots. It really is like run value, run prevention. One of the best pitches that prevents runs. That's how you come up with run value. And his four-seam fastball was one of the better pitches in the game last year. When you pair that with his incredible splitter that he's always had, 121 batting average on the splitter, 39.7% whiff rate. So basically a 40% whiff rate on his splitter. When you pair those two pitches together, his great command, he also mixes it up well, sinker, slider, curveball, cutter. That's why he is elite. As soon as that four-seam fastball the quality of contact on that pitch can improve, we'll see the truly dominant Yamamoto that we saw last year. But it's still very early in the year. He has only made 5 starts. He's still trending in a great spot. So Yamamoto is great. And then the last thing to talk about in this game is the offense. Absolutely nothing. 12 strikeouts, 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, 8 runners left on base. Nobody really did a whole lot of anything. Dodgers had 3 hits in this game. Shohei had a hit, which at the time continued his on-base streak. Teoscar Hernandez had a hit, and that was it. Ha-Seong Kim also had 1 hit. So Dodgers didn't really do a whole lot of anything in this game. And like I said, not able to do anything with runners in scoring position because they did have runners on base because they had 7. The Giants allowed 7 walks in this game. So just kind of missed out on 1 big hit. Like I said, there was an inning, I think it was the 4th inning, when Ha-Seong Kim took a bases loaded walk. There was only 1 out. And then who was it right after that? Miguel Rojas, or maybe it was Alex Call, who grounded into a double play, kind of killed that rally. And that was all she wrote. So let's go ahead and go to game 2 in this game. Shohei Ohtani takes the mound versus Tyler Mahle of the Giants. Ohtani's been dominant on the mound this year. And obviously, in this game, he gets the start in the lineup, which we didn't see a week ago against the Mets. Tyler Mahle has an ERA well over 7 going into the start. So Dodgers should hit him. Let's go to that. There is not really much scoring to talk about. Shohei Ohtani, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs. Tyler Mahle, the Dodgers did not hit him. 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. The only scoring came on 1 swing. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Jack Dreyer on the mound. A home run, a 3-run homer, I might add, to Patrick Bailey. Yes, Patrick Bailey, who is one of the worst hitters in the game. A 3-run homer in the 7th inning to put the Giants on top. And that was it. A 3-0 loss. Dodgers dropped the first 2 games of the series. Shohei for 6, Jack Dreyer for 1. He gets the loss. Kyle Hurt came in and pitched 1 inning. Tyler Mahle, 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. He only allowed 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Dodgers only had 3 hits against him. Okay? And then weren't able to do anything against the 2 relievers who came in. Ryan Walker got the save, the submarine pitcher. So that was it. All right, let's talk about Shohei first because, as you see by the title of this video, Shohei has been dominant on the mound to start the year. The hitting has not been there yet by his standards. He still has an OPS in the 800s, which is fine, but we're used to, an OPS a little bit more, 200 points higher than that. But anyways, his pitching, Shohei has been dominant so far this year, and he looked great in this start. He looked great a week ago against the Mets. Let me give you his final line. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 7 strikeouts. His ERA is down to .38. Okay? He had 18 whiffs in the game, and what he's continued to do is pile up the swings and misses on his 4-seam fastball. And I'm going to get into this in a second. His 4-seam fastball is electric right now. One of the better pitches in the game, his 4-seam fastball. He got a ton of whiffs on the sweeper as well. His 4-seam sweeper combination right now is pretty nasty. 8 whiffs on the 4-seam, 9 on the sweeper. Didn't mix in a whole lot of splitters, curveballs, and sinkers, which is interesting to me. Shohei definitely is a guy he kind of seems like the type of pitcher who goes into a start with a game plan, and also when he goes into the game, he kind of feels out which pitches are working that day, and he kind of leans heavily on those pitches because ever since I've seen him pitch in a Dodger uniform, especially like at the end of 2025, early on this year, he really likes his curveball, and he only threw 4 curveballs in this game, and he will mix in sinkers. He didn't even throw any cutters in this game, so it was obvious that he was leaning on the 4-seamer with good reason because it was averaging 98.9 miles an hour, so basically 99 miles an hour, and his sweeper, like I said, 9 whiffs, so I just found that interesting that he did not throw any curveballs, barely threw any sinkers. He's turned up the swing and miss numbers in these last 2 starts. Okay, his first couple starts against teams like the Guardians and the Blue Jays didn't have a whole ton of whiffs or swings and misses, but these last 2 starts against the Mets and the Giants, a ton of swing and miss. All right, and a lot of these numbers show why I believe, and I am starting to believe, that Shohei has a real chance to get into the Cy Young conversation and maybe even win that award. I think the way he's pitching, as healthy and as good as he looks and as polished as he looks right now, there's no doubt in my mind he can win the award. It's all going to come down to how many innings he can throw. 8th hardest throwing starting pitcher in the game, 98 miles an hour. His four-seam fastball is the number 1 fastball in Major League Baseball right now. 4th best according to run value. And then in terms of all fastballs overall, it's the best fastball. So the number 1 four-seam fastball in the game right now according to run value. That is nasty. He also has the 4th best sweeper in the game with the 7th highest whiff rate among all sweepers. So those two pitches, the four-seamer and the sweeper, are a nasty combination right now. He's leading the National League in ERA at .38. He's second in expected ERA, so that's important. No luck, nothing like that. He is truly dominating. Expected ERA is second. Second in batting average against at 141. He's second in whip, and he's 4th in FIP. So he also has the 7th highest whiff rate. So all the numbers look great. And then two really interesting numbers that are encouraging. A 53.3% ground ball rate, 12th highest in Major League Baseball. That's a career high. And then the chase percentage, so swings out of the strike zone, 34.2%. That's also a career high. That is 16th highest in Major League Baseball. Those are really the only two things in Shohei's career as a pitcher that he's never gotten a ton of. He's always thrown very hard. He's always gotten a lot of swings and misses, strikeouts. He's never, for some reason, gotten a lot of chase out of the zone and ground balls. I don't know why. That's just some pitchers are like that. Right now, he's getting a lot of chase. You can credit that to the sweeper, splitter, and a little bit of some four-seamers at the top of the zone. And then the ground ball percentage, again, maybe some sinkers that he's, throwing in there. And, I don't know if the ground ball percentage will continue. But like I said with Yamamoto, when you can combine strikeouts and ground balls, you're going to be elite. So all great stuff to see. Can Shohei win the Cy Young? That will be the question all year. It all is going to depend on how many innings he can throw. I think right now he's on pace to basically throw like 160 innings, which would keep him in the conversation and would be enough innings for him to, that would be enough innings for him to actually win the award. And right now, when you look at a lot of the best pitchers in the game, outside of obviously Yamamoto, who's on his own team, and then like Paul Skeens, it's pretty much just Christopher Sanchez, who he might have to worry about when it comes to actually winning that award. But a lot of the guys that are off to great starts, like Jose Soriano of the Angels, Cam Schlittler of the Yankees, Max Fried, Parker Messick, a lot of those guys are in the American League. So Shohei looks like one of the best pitchers in the National League right now, and he's got a true shot at winning the Cy Young. Hopefully it doesn't impede on his great offense, because right now the offense, he's definitely struggling right now a tad bit. Didn't do much in Colorado, and I don't think he got any hits, or I think he had one hit in the first game in San Francisco. So the offense is a little cold right now. I've never worried about his offense. I think there's no doubt he's going to get hot soon. His first year with the Dodgers 2 years ago, I think he kind of had similar start that he's having right now, like 800s OPS, like nothing crazy. And then in the months of May and June is when he really went crazy offensively. And so he's normally a guy who really gets hot in the months of June. So, he'll be fine. There's no doubt about that. So the last thing about this game, same thing as game one. Offense did absolutely nothing. And the biggest thing is that you can't let Patrick Bailey beat you in that spot. Jack Dreyer. I know Jack Dreyer is not the most dominant of relief pitchers, but he has actually had a decent start for the Dodgers this year. You can't let the 6th worst qualified hitter in Major League Baseball take you deep in that spot. All right, there is only 5 hitters in baseball this year who are worse than Patrick Bailey, of however many qualified hitters there are, like 200. He's one of the 10 worst hitters in the game, and not only did he get a hit there and put the Giants ahead, he hit a home run with 2 strikes on him. It's no offense to Patrick Bailey, he's just a bad hitter, and you can't let a guy beat you there, but whatever, it happens. So let's go to Game 3, which just wrapped up a couple hours ago. Afternoon game in San Francisco, getaway day, Dodgers, Giants. We got Tyler Glasnow on the mound against Logan Webb, the ace of the Giants. And Tyler Glasnow has been off to a great start this year. Dodgers finally get on the board first in this game in the second inning. A Dalton Rushing single, up the middle, 1-0 Dodgers. We go to the fourth inning, back-to-back doubles to start this inning. Kyle Tucker hits a double. Max Muncy comes up right after him. He doubles to center field. Dodgers go up 2-0. Later that inning, Hae-Sung Kim singles into left field to make it a 3-0 game, and the score would hold. All the runs the Dodgers need in that game to pull out a win. They win by a score of 3-0, get their first win in this series. They're able to salvage the series, drop 2 out of 3, like I said. Record goes to 17-8, and they get on the plane home to LA to take on the Cubs tomorrow. Tyler Glasnow, 8 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, and now his ERA is at 2.45. Dominated the Giants in this game, and that's where we're going to start. Tyler Glasnow had 16 whiffs in the game. He's been off to a great start, all right? If it wasn't for Shohei, he would have the best numbers on the Dodgers right now. But between him, Yamamoto, Shohei, and then also don't sleep on Justin Robleski. He's had a couple of great starts as well. Glasnow has been dominant. Like I said, the 9 strikeouts in this game, the 16 whiffs. And what was interesting about this start from Glasnow, okay, he brought the whiffs, he brought the elite command, which is what, something we've seen early on this year. The walk rate has gone, in the complete other direction, where he walked a lot of hitters last year. Right now, he's got one of the best walk rates in the year. How about 47 sinkers, a career high in this game? So he threw a ton of sinkers in this game. And what I like about Glasnow is his sinker is becoming an elite pitch, not just to right-handed hitters, but to both sides of the plate. He throws it a lot to left-handers now. He kind of throws it at the top of the zone, starts it inside to lefties. That pitch kind of runs away. Kind of interesting. You don't see a ton of pitchers do stuff like that. And I think it's just interesting because Glasnow has never been a sinker ball pitcher. If you look at his years, I think he came up with the Pirates in 2018 and did throw sinkers, but ever since he went to Tampa Bay and came over to the Dodgers, never really thrown sinkers. He started to implement that pitch a tad bit in 2024, and then last year down the stretch and into the postseason is where he began to throw it a lot. If you look at his postseason numbers, he threw a ton in a couple starts against the Phillies, the Brewers, and then the Blue Jays. And he's in the beginning of this season, he did not at first throw a ton of sinkers, but as the season has progressed, he's started to increase the usage on that pitch, and I just think it's cool. I've always liked when starting pitchers are able to use both fastballs and sinkers, four-seam fastballs. I think that it gives hitters a really different look when you're able to use multiple fastballs. One of the best pitchers in the game at doing just that is Zach Wheeler, who's about to come back for the Phillies. Great four-seam fastball and sinker. He'll throw it into right-handers. He'll throw it to left-handers. He'll also use the four-seamer. You don't always see that. Like Logan Webb, who pitched against the Dodgers today, he's a sinker ball pitcher who will mix in four-seams occasionally, but he's basically just a sinker ball pitcher. When you're able to throw both, okay, so on the year, Tyler Glasnow, he just pitched in this game, so I don't know if these numbers are completely updated, but 37% four-seam, 17% sinker. So he throws a lot of sinkers, and like I said, a career high in this start. So that number 17% will come up once these numbers are updated on Baseball Savant. But again, why I also like it is that the sinker so far has been dominant. So he has the 7th best sinker in baseball according to run value, the best batting average against among all sinkers in the game. So the hardest sinker to get a hit against early on this year. One thing that's kind of weird is I've noticed the last 2 games is that they're charting his curveball as a knuckle curve, which is never really been charted like that before, and it's coming up as 2 different curveballs. I'm not really sure why. If you look at his pitch usage, four-seamer, and then it says knuckle curve, sinker, slider, and then just a regular curveball. I'm not really sure why they're charting it like that. I don't think Glasnow is throwing 2 different curveballs, especially because the knuckle curve that he throws, they're showing it as a higher velo, or a slower velo, I should say, which is never the case. A knuckle curve is always higher velocity than a regular curveball. I don't know why they're doing that. I'm pretty sure he just throws 1 curveball. It's kind of annoying me because it is showing it as 2 different pitches on this chart, which is, I don't think that's really the case. But anyways, he legitimately has some of the best pitches in the game when you take a look at his batting average against on a lot of his pitches. So His curveball is a 160 batting average against with a 43.6% whiff rate. The sinker, like I said earlier, the best batting average against on a sinker, under 100, a 71 batting average against. The slider that he's continued to bring into the fold the last couple starts, a 125 batting average against with a 46.4% whiff rate. So all of his secondary pitches have been elite. The four-seam fastball, the batting average is down to 265, but it's still expected 303. He's kind of in a similar spot with Yamamoto that I would like to see the four-seam fastball get into some better, just improve a little bit. But Glasnow's been off to a great start. Hopefully he could just stay healthy. His ERA is down to 2.45. That's one of the top 25 ERAs in the game. So the Dodgers starting rotation is nasty right now. Even with some guys like Roki Sasaki struggling, there's no doubt as soon as these numbers get updated, they have some of the best team starting pitching numbers in the game. Glasnow's been great. Yamamoto's been great. Shohei's been great. Don't sleep on Justin Robleski. He'll get the ball this weekend against the Cubs. So, last thing that we'll talk about, hopefully Kyle Tucker's getting hot. I've been keeping an eye on him all year in these first 3 weeks. He's been off to a slow start. 750 OPS in his last 7 games, which is nothing to get excited about. But he did get 2 hits in this game, a double and then a single. He had a big game over the weekend against the Rockies. They did flip him in the lineup today, which was interesting. He's hit second every time he's been in there, except for one game, the game that Shohei didn't hit against the Mets. He was the leadoff hitter. But they dropped him down in the 4 spot today, which is interesting. They said they're going to continue to do that for the foreseeable future. So maybe take a little bit of pressure off of Kyle Tucker. I don't mind that. He's taking on his former team this weekend, so hopefully that gets him jump started. I think I still have no worries about Tucker that he's going to put up good numbers, but the OPS is still 699, something like that. So we got to see him start to get going. The last guys offensively, Teoscar Hernandez, Shohei are a little bit cold right now. Hopefully those guys can break out this weekend. The offense as a whole has still been fine, especially like top to bottom. Like the bottom of the lineup, the Dodgers have the best bottom of the lineup in the game between guys like Hae-Sung Kim, Dalton Rushing when he's in there, Andy Paez. Like those guys have put up such great numbers that the lineup as a whole has been no issue. They still have the best offense in the game. If not the best, it's right behind the Braves, who have been hot lately. That's pretty much it from these 3 games. Unfortunate, the Dodgers dropped the series. They had been playing pretty well coming in, but the offense did not do what I was hopeful going into Colorado. It was kind of up and down. The 2 games that they won, they put up a ton of runs, but didn't do a lot of offensively. And then these 2 games that they lost in San Francisco were just like sleepy games, like just did nothing offensively. So they're taking on a hot team in the Cubs this weekend. Cubs just swept the Phillies in Chicago, so they've been playing good. Emmett Sheehan will take the ball Friday night against Jameson Taillon. Taillon is a decent pitcher, but he does give up a ton of home runs, so don't be shocked if we see some homers in that game. Roki Sasaki will take the ball against Colin Ray Saturday night. So my eyes are always on Sasaki when he takes the ball. Hopefully we can see some improvement. And then Justin Robleski, who again, underrated, has one of the better ERAs in the game this year. He'll take the ball against Shota Imanaga Sunday afternoon. Imanaga's been one of the hottest pitchers in baseball lately. He's getting a ton of strikeouts. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of the videos dropping. You can follow us on all social media at Talking Blue Pod. Follow myself at Talking Blue Nick on X. And that is it. We'll see you guys this weekend to recap the Dodgers and the Cubs. Thank you very much.